You're fine. You're looking good.
All
Fine. You don't
right,
have
welcome
Spanish
back to
for,
the
right?
Swamp Stomp. We got Mr. John Agar the Third on from his dad was in all kinds of movies and TV shows and all kinds of stuff. Welcome, Mr. John Agar. You know what? I
Nice,
forgot my
nice to see
claps.
you, John. Can you see
Hang on, let's
what
do that again.
Casey's doing?
I
Let's.
can see everything. I saw it looked very familiar. I saw the Revenge of the Creature poster.
Yes, yes.
Nice.
We're pretty excited because it's the 65th anniversary, and it's going to be a great year, I think, for all of us. And I wanted to ask you, John, before we get into your dad and all the things that he did, what are you doing currently for yourself? What are you doing currently, making a living and doing what you do?
Well, currently I'm on my couch speaking with you all, but during my professional life,
Well
I'm
done.
an
Well
advertising
done.
account exec. I work in advertising. So, just like the rest of us on this planet, I do my 9 to 5, bring in all kinds of clients. I handle them, in all digital channels. So I work in Google, Bing, Yahoo, Facebook, you name it, Instagram, Twitter. And that's it. I have a background in print and television advertising. I used to work for the Los Angeles Times, Tribune, Media Corp. Prior to that, I've been in sales and marketing for years. So yeah, I've dabbled around in film here and there, but nothing too serious. That's my actual degree is in film and television production. But my father never really wanted me to act. He felt like actors were nothing but props that ate.
Oh, jeez.
Yes.
Your dad had
Anyway,
humor.
I don't need to act to eat, so I'm already a human prop.
Well,
I think it's pretty interesting that he was married to Shirley Temple. I find that really cool. That's awesome.
That is pretty interesting. Yeah, she was his first wife. They were married, I guess, 4 or 5 years. Had a daughter together.
Wow.
That was a pretty. There you go. Did a couple movies together.
Nice.
Yeah, and she was, obviously marrying America's sweetheart. That was definitely pretty intense.
I bet it was. Yep.
It's pretty wild. We had an elderly gentleman that was a veteran. And he stayed with our family for several years, and we called him Happy. And Happy was her driver when she would go to do some of the different shows. But he was in the military, and he was her personal driver for about a year. And we heard all kinds of stories, but she was little, she was just a little thing.
Yeah.
But I think that's pretty intriguing.
She was definitely an interesting woman, had an amazing career, amazing childhood, interesting adulthood. As a matter of fact, my father and her, there's some, it's public now. There was a, pretty severe divorce and a lot of bad blood, I guess. But actually, my father, she was one of the last people my father spoke to before he passed away.
Wow.
So there was actually a reconciliation of sorts. In other words,
right.
My father.
Everything came full circle.
Took care of business, and and my father never said anything about the marriage, which I find to be, especially in this day and age, very classy.
Yeah.
I mean,
that's
honorable.
With all the
classy,
gossip going around in Hollywood, it's amazing he didn't say something about it, but it tells you a lot about the man.
There you go, man.
Yeah.
Well, on to your dad. I have a question I want to ask you. Can you tell me about the lobster house scene?
Yes.
The one that got real.
Yes.
Where the preacher comes in and steals Lori, I think, right?
Very cool scene.
Well, tell us what happened in the water.
Oh, in the water. Well, yeah. It's pretty much as I hear it. There was at that lobster house, I guess the tides were up, so the water was rougher than expected, but they were swarming with jellyfish.
Yikes.
So, yeah, there was some issues. I think Rico might have had a few issues in there with the jellyfish, and yeah, it was not good. One of the things about shooting on locations, true then as it is today, is that they don't have as much control over, the reality of the
The
situation.
safety's not as good.
You don't even have, I'm sorry, Cap, I didn't.
I'm saying the safety regulations and the way they did things back then.
Well, we're not even going to go there. The safety regulations back then, dude, probably.
Yeah. Right. OSHA who?
But yeah, it was pretty brutal. I mean, there was a lot of, that was a tough scene. Night shooting, Florida, you can only imagine what else was in that water. They're lucky it was just jellyfish, right?
Right.
But yeah, there were definite issues. And yeah, I think you guys probably have a handle on that too, as far as the stories, right?
Well, yeah. Well, I wanted to ask you, John, I know that your mom was in the movie as well. And your mom's name was Loretta Combs, correct?
Correct. Loretta Combs Barnett. Yes, that was
awesome.
Yeah. And she was, my mother's got an interesting story too, as a matter of fact. I mean, prior to marrying my father, she actually appears in the movie Citizen Kane. She's actually one of the dancers in the Citizen Kane
Wow, the greatest film ever made, apparently.
I didn't know that.
Yeah. And she was also a model and somewhat of an actress. She was paired up with Betty Grable. Her and Betty Grable used to travel during World War II, and so she was really close to Betty, and they used to travel in a converted B-28 or 25 bomber. Excuse me, my Air Force French is a little off, but they would travel, and she traveled USO shows in Europe and USA, doing USO shows and war bond stuff. But that being said, she was on the set in Florida with my father, and they had the scene where the woman on the boat, I guess during the time of the lobster shack, right? Right. That same thing when the monster comes up, when the creature, comes out, and the woman on the boat, and she's, with her boyfriend, and they're on there, and just having a drink or whatever they're doing, and then she screams, and that is my mother, and it's epic. It is fantastic.
That's too cool.
I love it. Can you tell us about some of the neighbors that you had when you were growing up?
Oh my God! Which time? We've had lots of neighbors, but no. Well, I mean, we lived. We lived in Studio City, California, and right behind us, we had Jamie Farr living right behind us.
Oh, cool.
We had from MASH, Klinger from MASH.
Yeah.
We had Bob Hope's writer Charlie Lee living across the street. Sally Fields lived up around the corner a few blocks.
Flying Nun.
Yeah.
Flying Nun.
I grew up in a little Hollywood enclave. Then we moved to Encino for a short time, where we literally lived just about 2 blocks from the Jackson family. And so, yeah. And then, of course, growing up, I went to private school, and I went to school with child actors Michael James Wickstead, who appeared in the series with Henry Fonda, and let's see, oh God, my mind is getting. His father produced the show. Andy Griffith, Jacobs, Ronald Jacobs' kids, Jerry, their sons. So yeah, I went to school around a lot of kids in Hollywood, and of course, my father wasn't a plumber. I imagine if my dad was a plumber, I would have hung out with a lot of plumber kids.
Probably.
Met a lot of plumbers. My father happened to be an actor, so on weekends and family, events and things like that, we would hang out with actors and some of the close actors to my father. Obviously, he spoke to John Wayne every year, and we had run-ins with him growing up. And but one of my dad's closest friends was a guy named Dick Webb, Richard Webb, who was famous for being Captain Midnight.
Oh, wow.
That was a great friend of my dad.
Familiar.
So here I was, a kid, and I was being amused and humored by Captain Midnight. I mean, of all things, I didn't realize how blessed I was until later. I didn't realize till my teens who Dick was, and he was just my dad's cool friend, He was always telling great stories, ghost stories, and just all kinds of cool stuff.
Yeah, that's cool.
He never gave me a secret decoder ring. But had I known, I'm sure he would have.
Eat your Ovaltine.
So John,
drink your Ovaltine.
Yeah,
exactly.
drink your Ovaltine.
Your
Very
dad,
good, very good.
he learned to scuba dive for Revenge of the Creature.
Yeah, he did. And as a matter of fact, it wasn't obviously scuba diving had been around for a while. I mean, it's been used since World War II. But what it is, I think that was sort of the start of individual, like, recreational scuba diving, if you will. So that was right around the time that came out. So yeah, he spent, and as you guys can see in the film, and if you've ever been on a film set, you know that the motto of any film set is hurry up and wait.
Oh.
He spent hours in that tank. And one of our mutual associates recently posted a photo of Dad signing autographs. They put a little joke on there, Joe's Fish Shack, but signing autographs from inside of the tank in Marineland, Florida, which was just
That's
epic.
cool.
You can imagine, he probably
That's
looked like
cool.
a prude being in there all day. Not to mention our friend, the creature, man. I mean,
Yeah.
that guy really, give it up for him, Rico.
I want to ask you about the car that that was pushed over on the beach with Mr. Hennessy. Was that a 49 Plymouth?
God, you got me here. It was an old car.
My mom keeps telling me it's a 49 Plymouth.
It was built, I got to tell you, Cindy, it was built before I was born. Not that, listen, with my age.
I was born in 54, so I'm 65 now. But my mom, who's 85, she tells me, Cindy, that's a 49 Plymouth, and I really want to find out what kind of car that was.
Well, we'll have to have some of the fans look into that, especially some of the car fans. But I do know that obviously, and you all know this too, that obviously Rico Browning did all the water scenes. I forget the name of the gentleman that did the land scenes, but he was way bigger than Rico, and he was a good guy.
Ben Chapman? No?
Excuse me?
Tom Hennessy.
Bingo, Yahtzee, you got it.
Well, listen, can you tell me about when your dad was in the Hand of Death with Butch Patrick?
Oh, dear Lord. Some of you guys really did your research. Yeah. That was, my brother was actually, my brother Martin David is actually on set for that film. And there's a couple stories on it too. So I know one that I guess my father was in the makeup, and my brother was young. I forget. I think it was a '64, so he was got to be 6 or 7 years old. And he hears the voice, and I guess he's on a scene at the beach, and he hears my dad's voice. My mom brings him there, or whatever. He hears my father's voice, and so he goes running. Daddy, where's my daddy? And he runs up, and there's my father, but in full makeup, and he sees this, and my brother freaks out and runs up to him and kicks sand in his face and runs up. That's the story. That's the one I remember right now.
Okay. Well, I also wanted to ask you, John, I know you've been in the industry a long time, but what things did you act in?